Greetings and welcome to our webinar, Smarter Claims Processing with an AI-enabled ecosystem. I'm your host for today, Ankur Luthra. I work with Damco Solutions. We are a 25-year-old IT services, solutions, and products company that is working with insurance entities, be it carriers, brokers, MGAs, and even adjusters all across the globe. And we have worked with them and solved various problems for them, including transforming of claims, using emerging technologies, modern day technologies, and we also take care of the insurance platforms. Our expert for today is a distinguished person with 20 years of experience in insurance industry on the either side of the table. We are very pleased to introduce Ursula Merton, who is a director with Omni US. She advises them and advises various insurers on insurance strategy and transformation using AI. Welcome, Ursula.
Thank you for having me.
So, claims is something that basically is affecting every insurance organization and every COO, every claims officer, every year is looking for means and methods to improve their claims from a customer standpoint and from an organizational compliance standpoint as well. So the way we have structured our webinar today is we are going to give you an insight into how a current claim cycle looks like. Then Ursula is going to walk us through that what role AI can play in various aspects of that claim cycle. There is a three-phase theory which she is going to put up in front of us and how you can basically revolutionize or transform your claims using the three-phase claims process automation. Then we would have a quick insight into how an AI-enabled claims lifecycle is going to look like, and a brief overview about Damco and Omni US partnership, and then questions and answers. Without wasting much time, I would like to talk quickly about the claims life cycles, which have been manual in some places, semi-automated in some places. 5 buckets is where a claims process has been split into. It's FNOL, coverage determination, investigation, evaluation, and resolution recovery. What organizations have done in a semi-automated environment is maybe they have integrated 1 and 2. Maybe what they have done is they have sped up 1, but they are still struggling with coverage determination and those kind of things where there is a significant bit of human intervention. And likewise, investigation is something which is a big domain in its own way. There are so many steps to it, and every step takes its fair bit of time because you want to be double sure. And then during the evaluation, you're analyzing different data sets and you're still relying on human intelligence. And if things go south during and you have to resolve claims, it is an altogether a very cumbersome cycle from various organizations, even though they have undertaken some set of automation. So today we look up to you, Ursula, and we want to understand from you that how AI can basically change the way claims are happening in insurance organizations.
Sure. Well, AI has had a tremendous role, especially over the last 2 years as a result of the pandemic, where the carriers and other insurance organizations had to figure out a way to get access to data and continue to have their workflow while having people work from home. And so there was really a huge bum rush to get this going in quite a small amount of time. But what AI has done really has enabled insurance organizations to process a much wider and complicated set of data than ever before. You know, I think about my career 20 years ago, and we didn't even call what we were gathering data. It was just claims information. It was underwriting information that we were manually gathering from documents and manually inputting into Excel spreadsheets. And so it's very interesting now that we talk about this information and it all comes as data. But what it's done is it's enabled people and business to connect really in real time in most instances. And it's the components of the information and the types of technology like cognitive technology, voice, image, text processing really has boosted the ability for insurance companies to operate more efficiently.
Very interesting. And a lot of organizations have done some basic automation, but this is something that we would want you to walk us through more.
Sure. So that first phase that we want to talk about really is that data collection classification. Like I said, historically, it was humans that had to gather all this information, not only from paper, but from multiple systems, multiple sources. And we didn't even really have that access to email like we have today. And so now we can gather information from multiple sources. We can call them, initially they were multi-channel sources. Now we see more of an omni-channel source of information that we can grab information from emails, paper, databases, and take that information and extract relevant information and classify it to identify whether there's something that should be looked at further by a human, or that you can continue to automate as you are able to push information to it to answer questions or fill out information and continue to automate other workflows within these life cycles. But what's really nice is the ability to really organize data right out front. When it comes down to document types and even down to page types, we receive a tremendous amount of information at once, and the ability to point out that specific page within a very large document is so key when you're handling claims. So for the second part here, talking about the data processing based on ML rules, this is the actions that happen based on the first part of extracting relevant data. You can identify information about the claim that's already set up in the system. You can validate information like the policy information. You can identify changes in the loss type or the type of damages being reported. And most importantly is what we call a completeness check. That is the ability to basically check off that you've completed every single task required as part of, say, the F&OL process. And also, it is also to validate information on prior claims history, or that a claim is already exist in the system. And an ability also to identify relative information coming in that might require the supervisor to take a look at it. That part of that claims analysis where management needs to take a further look to it. It's that human in the loop interaction that triggers this through machine learning.
Fantastic.
And part of number 3, when we talk about automated decisions using AI, this is the further enhancement of what artificial intelligence can do. We are never going to get rid of that human loop interaction when it comes to claims processing. We need the expertise of the human in order to make certain decisions. And what AI has done is enhance the way people handled claims. Traditionally, we spent a lot of time in the beginning focusing on that administrative mundane tasks of setting up the claim, looking up the policy in the policy admin system, setting up the claim file, making sure everybody's on notice, putting together the regulatory required reporting to the regulators. So much massive amount of information was coming in at the same time as you're setting up this claim. Well, with AI and as it's receiving incoming information, it's going to get rid of those mundane tasks of identifying information that normally would be done by a human, but validating it and then letting it move on to the next process. The biggest part of this too is for the claim handlers is that they're able to really concentrate on those high value tasks, the part of the job that they really love, and really rely on AI to really keep the claim going too. You have to think about this with the caseload that we have for claim handlers, depending on the line of business. You know, you could have multiple pieces of information coming in every day. And where somebody saw some of the leakage and claims leakage was that people just didn't have the time to attend to some of that incoming information, which might be a regulatory requirement to report something by a certain date. You know, certain states require you, as soon as the claim status changes, you have to report that to the regulators. And claims handler was missing that just because of the backlog of information coming in. With AI, you can automatically trigger that the claim status has changed and automatically trigger a letter that would go to the regulators to notify them, hey, by the way, information has changed about this claim. Here's what the information is. So it's really enabling the workforce to concentrate on those higher value tasks like I talked about and keep that claim going down those life cycles as we talked about earlier.
And this leads me to a question before we jump on to the next slide. Does it allow you to analyze patterns in terms of humans, applicants, the data that is coming in? Does it allow you to analyze patterns and identify anomalies at the level of individual or at the level of organization and the process or at the level of applicants?
Yeah, you know what, this is what's great about this and what I got very excited about when I started with Omnius is that they showed me that level of data, the analytics portion of it. And being a claims person, I saw a lot more value to it than my DevOps and my data science guys. And so that's the great thing about this is that, you know, not only you're taking unstructured data structured, but you're pulling relevant data, and that relevant data can be analyzed, right? From a management oversight perspective, from a claim handler perspective, actuarial analysis perspective. And what's even better is that we have access to lots of real-time information now through telematics and wearable devices, driver apps, you know, all these other really wonderful technology innovations that we've seen over the last couple of years, combining all that information, which it's massive, but you can also use that to analyze, review, and assess those trends and patterns that are coming out there to say, hey, why are we having this same claim in this same jurisdiction over and over again, down to like, even for underwriting, that you can assess some of this analytics around, you know, if you had a customer that had the same accident in multiple locations, and you drill down to exactly what that accident was, where it was, hey, they were getting injured by a rack that kept falling on top of them when they were cleaning up the store. You know, that's a great risk mitigation tool to use with your clients to say, hey, if you get rid of this certain thing in your store, you're going to have less accidents, you're going to have less work comp claims. So it's really evolutionized over the last couple of years, really around, you know, again, with what has happened in the pandemic, but you can use so many different multiple sources of information and gather that information to really analyze in detail the effects of what you've extracted from all this data.
Very interesting insight. So we would love to now learn from you that how this traditional AI-enabled claims lifecycle would change.
What's changed is the first thing I think is the most important is that we are cutting down on the paper, right? This has been a paper-laden industry for many years, and we're not going to get rid of the paper, right? It's totally impossible. I learned to hate paper in my career, and
Yes.
what has been great is the digital transformation, especially around FNOL, right? The digital FNOL. I test it out all the time. I have a lot of family members. They'll have different insurance companies that they use, and I'm like, well, you have to file a claim. Let me go check how they have their online, you know, claim filing portal. So I've seen such great advancements by many traditional carriers around the FNOL process. Unfortunately, like in the commercial space, we still see a little bit of lag with respect to the paper process, and that's because of the nature of the business, right? But we've done a really good job and able to make that digital and extract relevant information out of there so that they can, get that claim through very seamlessly, right? Through the process to get that claim going. And it's not only improving, the customer experience, but it's also, enabling employees to be more satisfied about their job as well. When we think about, the other life cycles, when we get down to the investigation and evaluation, I think about subsequent reporting of claims information that's coming in. We talked about that a little bit earlier, about it getting information that they can identify with respect to changes in the claim. One of the nice things about this too, kind of happened accidentally, is the fraud detection. We were able to pull specific relevant information out of the incoming documents that created a red flag to the claim handler to say, hey, this isn't something that matches the system, or it's not, it contradicts what you have reported under this claim. You need to take a further look. So that gives that really upfront ability where maybe the human eye might have missed that information coming in, coming across paper, that we were able to make some quick decisions and whether he needed or they needed to escalate this further for further investigation, maybe by SIU or a fraud solution. And really just to wrap this up, right, is talking about making decisions and making good decisions, better claims outcomes, right? And that's really the benefit that insurers are getting, is that they're able to reduce the amount of leakage and have better outcomes, improve customer experience and employee satisfaction.
Indeed. And a lot of our customers and clients and prospects ask us when we go to implement some of our core systems and technologies is that, oh, it's okay, there are multiple solutions to make a process smart, but what do we do when it comes to handwritten text? Because a lot of claims forms still have a lot of handwritten text. So what do we do about it? That is where all the smartness of the process stops, and the human eyes and the fingers have to do typing and convert that data. So does OmniUS solve that problem as well?
We actually do. So our ICR capability actually emanated from our CEO. She started her own robotics company at the age of 21, where she was scanning historical books that were handwritten in multiple languages. And this machine scanned the entire page and then would actually transfer it to text, and that it was searchable via the internet. And so as a basis of our ability from that technology, we've enhanced over the years. Our handwritten recognition software is actually really excellent because our solution is dynamic in the way that it can read handwritten text and hard text within documents. And they don't have to be templated either. So yeah, the handwritten components of insurance is definitely still part of the ecosystem. We don't see that changing. And it's interesting because we have had non-insurance, well, it's still insurance. I guess it's, in the dental and the veterinarian area, right? They don't even have a standardized codes, and they do handwrite a lot of the information in there. And so as pet insurance was really boosted over the pandemic, they suffered from a tremendous backload of information that was coming in, and the humans not being able to keep up with the amount of information because of the manual review of determination of the coverage of the claim that was being submitted. So it was very interesting.
Indeed, and we keenly look forward to explore this more with you in our journey ahead. Ursula, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about OmniUS in a nutshell, then I would talk about Damco and the partnership.
Sure. So OmniUS, we're an intelligent automation solution. We're designed to really enhance and extend our customers' investment of their claims in underwriting systems. And so we understand the value of automation by identifying the key processes that our clients want to shorten time cycles, enhance their customer experience, or increase their employee satisfaction. So we really take we understand, and we know you want to increase the ability to have really good workflows within your business processes. And so we really pride ourselves on designing what we can for our customers.
Indeed. And what we have done is, being a core insurance software provider and also a systems integrator, we are now looking to marry Omni-US kind of technology and Omni-US basically to some of our own homegrown systems and some of the most world-class systems available in the market. And we are looking to bring and enhance that Omni-US experience, providing artificial intelligence as a service on top of different kind of processes, whether they are manual, whether they are automated, or whether you have already started your digital transformation journey and you are just looking to change the way documentation is going to get further handled, although your process is more paperless already. So that way, Damco is, along with Omni-US, is going to come in and use artificial intelligence to not only just change claims, but also different facets of your insurance business, which are document and information intensive. So with this, we largely come to the end of our webinar, and it's time for some questions. And my first question to you, Ursula, would be around a lot of our customers in their journey. Some have lagged behind and weren't able to undertake that first wave of digital transformation, be it around paperless offices or creating those portals from where they could ingest paperwork and start their FNOLs. Now they are worried that they are a little too late and they are a little too small to make that big buck investment. So how such kind of organizations can undertake these transformations?
Sure. Mid-sized and small organizations should not fear this because it doesn't require a significant amount of time or investment. AI is really, it's an intelligent layer within your existing infrastructure. And so it doesn't put a lot of constraints on internal people in order to implement this. And really, the way our solution works too is that basically, it's a self-service and self-managed platform that you can train non-data scientist people to manage these AI models, to enhance them, to train them. Was recently in a meeting at a organization, and one of the guys said, "I'm not a technical person, Ursula. This scares me." And so when we showed them the UI that would be managed by the internal people, it's literally a box and a click and a rewrite, to enhance the training on it, because he would be the one that would be training it. And so it was very interesting and eye-opening for non-technical people that are like, okay, wait, this is pretty user-friendly. And so I don't want people to be scared of AI.
And are these capital expenditures, or can they be small operational expenditures? Are you available on cloud and all, so that they don't have to spend huge big bucks to do it?
No, they don't. It's not a very large implementation. We actually offer an on-prem solution for people who still manage everything from system perspective on-prem. Is it more work? Yes, but are we capable of doing it? Of course. And we're very used to all the cloud managed services that are available out there. But what's important about this, and it's a journey. And it can be easily deployed into any workflows because we have the access to RESTful APIs. I think that's been the savior for our industry, was APIs. And then we still have clients that come to us today and don't even know what an API is. and that they have to create the API, and that is the work up front, sometimes that our clients have to do. But once you have access to that, we can integrate into any system, whether it's a modern system or a legacy system. And that's been the great thing about our solution and being an intelligent layer within your infrastructure.
Cool. So one more question. A part of it is already answered by you, but they would need a specific answer around it is how robust or brittle the implementation will be in terms of resources needed. Do you need an army of resources or a handful of people would be able to help and in this transformation journey?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's a question we get a lot too by our clients. There is an implementation process, right? So there's the process where we're going to sit with staff to really kind of do a due diligence to figure out, starting that journey, where do they want to start? What do they want to automate? What's important to them? What are their pain points? But from the size of the team, it doesn't require a large size of a team. Our teams usually consist of 3 technical people and a project manager. And for the internal side, for the clients, it's always a couple of internal people and maybe the project manager on their side as well. So it does not take a large amount of staff that are otherwise working on other projects to implement this. And we have implemented our solution within 2 months. Some of these solutions were very quickly, where we did it in 2 weeks, but on average it takes about 2 months to implement it.
That's some great speed and answers before any next wave of pandemic or a next new mutation of virus we might see. That's some great speed there, Ursula.
Yes.
With this, we come to the end of this webinar, and very soon we would want to come back and talk to Ursula more about using AI in different aspects of your insurance business, be it underwriting, be it your internal operations and others. So please watch out for this space for more webinars in this series with Ursula. Thank you.